Turning our attention to the great state of Minnesota, where our good friend of the channel, Nick Ricada, resides. Good news for Nick. Recreational marijuana is now legal. So I don't know whether or not Nick himself wishes to partake or not, but hey, it is an option. He has the option to now grow some marijuana in his backyard. My incentives to visit Nick are apparently increasing with every moment. Let's learn a little bit more about what the great state of Minnesota has done when it comes to marijuana. Let's learn more about this. The Minnesota legislature has approved a 300-page bill that will allow adults 21 and older to use recreational marijuana and transforms what was a black market into a white market because it's legal now. So black market becomes white market. Legal becomes legal. So the governor signed the law Tuesday afternoon following early vote from the Senate earlier in May. The bill makes sweeping changes to the relevant law, which authorizes growth, manufacturing, and sale of the products. Minnesota joins 22 other states, plus Washington, D.C., where marijuana is legal to varying degrees. Below are some answers to some questions regarding this bill. Let's learn more about how the great state of Minnesota treats the issue. So possession for adults 21 and older will be lawful starting with August 1st with limits. Again, pretty typical for state laws to not go into effect immediately. July 1st and January 1st tend to be pretty typical dates, but not so much July 1st, but August 1st in this particular case. Fine. It will no longer be a crime for Minnesotans to have up to 2 pounds of marijuana at their home and transport 2 ounces while in public. 2 pounds sounds like a fair amount of marijuana, to be honest. But, okay. You can have your little jar filled with your 2 pounds of marijuana. Okay. So, have fun. It would be illegal to sell it without a state license, and you could face criminal penalties or civil fines if you do that, or possess more than the legal amount. So please keep it under the 2 pounds. You can only transport up to 2 ounces at a time. So that seems like a lot of joints, 2 ounces. So can you please keep it within those limits? The drug, of course, is still illegal at the federal level, as always, because the feds still haven't changed their mind on this. So it's still a violation of federal law if you care. As to growing cannabis in your home, the bill authorizes up to 8 plants, with no more than 4 being mature, as single residents without a special state license. So you can have up to 8 plants, 4 being mature, whatever the hell that means, at any time, with no special license required. I suppose if you want to have more than that, you have to get a license. The bill also creates a regulatory framework to establish licensed businesses that can do this on a commercial level. A new state office of cannabis management was tasked with oversight, but of course will take a little bit of time to get it running. So marijuana shops opening up some point in Minnesota in some relatively near future. Of course, getting a new office up and running takes a little bit of time with the permitting and stuff, but hey, 6 months or so, you should be golden. A representative who co-authored the bill told the news that they anticipate 12 to 18 months before someone can go into a store. Okay, so maybe 6 months was a little ambitious, but 12 to 18 months, we'll see. We'll see how fast we can get this up and running. I don't know. Some people are strongly motivated, I would think. So maybe we can make it do a little faster. We'll see what we can do. As to who can operate a business, there are 12 different licenses a person can apply for in this relevant market, and there are additional licenses for medical. So there are a variety of licenses depending on exactly what you want to do and how you want to do it, which again is not exactly atypical. Do you want to sell it? Do you want to grow it? Do you want to transport it? Do you want to refine it? Do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? We need different kinds of licenses depending on what exactly it is you're trying to do. Okay. To operate a business, you need to be at least 21 years of age and fill out all necessary paperwork and license fees. It won't be cheap. A cultivator license, $10,000 to apply, $20,000 for the license, $30,000 to renew. So if you want to farm this shit, it's going to be a little expensive. But then again, hopefully you're making your money out on the back end. So yeah. Costs depend on the operation. Smaller businesses can seek a micro business license, which would pay less. So the state has already thought about this ahead, right? So we'll have different levels of businesses with different levels of fees and different levels of taxes. so that, we can encourage small business because we like small businesses in our state. So, if you're a small business just getting started on your pot farm, if you're doing integrity farm over here, South Park style, and just getting started, those fees could be really, really expensive. So big agro might be able to pay those fees, but not so much. No worries. The state of Minnesota has thought ahead about this. And if you're a small starting business, then less with the fees. And then only when you become a big business do you have to pay big boy fees. So, hey, we thought about different levels of consumer. How nice. There are also some limits on who is allowed. You can't be a police officer or work for a state office that regulates the industry, among other rules. Okay. Not being able to work for the state office that regulates the business makes sense, right? That's a little bit of self-dealing problem. So fine. Police officer, fair enough. You can't be a police officer and also apparently have a pot business. Apparently that is right out. So fine. State officials will score applications and consider several factors, including the proposed plan, security details, experience, and more. Fine. Bill authors say the goal of the legislation is righting the wrong of prohibition. Minnesota ranks 8th in the country for racial disparity, according to ACLU, when it comes to the marijuana. So apparently, we think that there is a difference when it comes to racial enforcement in this state. So this will also help solve that problem. People who are convicted of cannabis possession or residents of neighborhood with high poverty levels are among those whose status will boost their score. So if you've previously been convicted, that's now an asset to you, I suppose. So that's an interesting way to turn it, right? You have proven your experience in the drug trade. So we'll give you a bonus in your application because you proved how experienced you are through your criminal conduct. That's particularly hilarious. I like that very much. Your past criminal liabilities are now an asset. That's cute. The war on drugs has become devastatingly harmful to our community, said a senator. I'm incredibly proud the bill has the can renew portion of it, then reinvest in communities that have been directly harmed. Wow. As to previous convictions, there's automatic expungement of non-felony offenses, and the bill establishes a board to review more serious crimes as well. So your past criminal conduct will be wiped off the books and may actually help you with the license because you've proven that you know what you're doing. Hey, we can't help noticing that you're really good in the drug trade. Would you like to do the lawful drug trade? Would you like to move from the illegal side to the legal side? Heisenberg, how'd you like to operate that in the open? You're really, really good at it. We'd like you to have that lawful drug trade. That'd be great. Members of the panel, which include the Chief Justice of the Minnesota Supreme Court, the Attorney General, a public defender, and more, will consider the expungement or resentencing of felony level convictions. So, yes, the state can and will remove your convictions by statute. You can do that. Obviously, you are more familiar probably with pardon power, right? The governor might have the power to pardon, depends on your state. And of course, the president of the United States has the power to pardon, but Congress and the legislature also effectively have the power to pardon because they can pass legislation, make it retroactively non-criminal, because that's not ex post facto, because it makes it less criminal. Less criminal is fine. So if you want to make something less criminal, yes, legislature, you can pass that law, that'll be A-okay. So the legislature's over here like, this isn't illegal. It was never illegal. We don't know what you're talking about. The courts will be like, okay, fine, no problem. You can do that. Great, excellent. The Bureau of Criminal Apprehension will start on August the 1st with the start of automatically clearing records. As to whether or not you can have marijuana in your car, yes, you can have it if it's unopened in the package it came from, but not so much with using the stuff in the car. So presumably, not so much with I smell marijuana anymore, but please don't smoke it in the car. You're not allowed to drive under the influence because it would be driving under the influence. So please don't drive under the influence. The bill provides funding for drug recognition training and establishes a pilot project to study an oral test to determine if someone's high. So we would like to come up with some sort of breathalyzer equivalence for the marijuana. So we're working on it. There is currently no such test available, but hey, we'll keep on the research. Maybe we'll find. As to what happens if you show up with the marijuana, well, you can still be fired. However, the employer can't fire for use on personal time, but could get fired for being under the influence while at the workplace. So yeah, we're trying to meet that out. So yeah, if you show up to work high, they have the right to fire you. Except for certain jobs like police officers, firefighters, educators, or someone with a commercial driver's license, an employer cannot require cannabis training as a condition for employment. So actually, as to at will in this particular state, actually they've even modified that. So yeah, you can't fire someone merely because they use marijuana. You can fire them for being intoxicated on the job. But marijuana, you have the right to be free. Born free, free as the wind blows. As to whether or not you can smoke weed in a public place, you can only use marijuana for recreational purposes at a private residence, private property of someone else with their permission, and businesses or events licensed for on consumption. Local businesses can also adopt ordinances making a petty misdemeanor for someone who breaks the rule. Smoking marijuana will be prohibited in public places or on the balcony or patios of apartment and condo buildings, but there are some exceptions for medical. It also prohibits use at public schools. So you can use it in private, but not in the public. As to taxing issues, there is a 10% gross tax, 10% top line tax right off the top. So that's on top of any general or local state sales tax, but it is lower than other comparable states. So yes, we're going to take 10% right off the top. Gross revenue, give us 10%. And also sales tax, we'll take that too. So, hey, that's what we want to do, but we're using it to generate some revenue. Revenues will be shared between the state and local government. As to where the dispensaries can be located, the bill empowers local governments to adopt zoning regulations, but they can't outright ban it. So yes, you can still have the zoning. Yes, you can have the marijuana businesses in particular parts, but no, not so much with the outright ban. So that will be fine. They can also prohibit the business from operating within 1,000 feet of a school and 500 feet of daycares and public parks, which depending on where you are in the state, might cover quite a lot of ground. But they have to allow it somewhere. A recent change also says that they can limit the amount of stores to one dispensary per 12,000 residents. So I'm not sure how we decided on that number, but that was the compromise. We were concerned about there being too many shops. So we said, fine, you can have a limit of up to one per 12,000, but no more. So if you want a free-for-all, you can have a free-for-all. If you want to limit it, okay, up to one per 12,000 is the limit. We'll allow you that. As to medical marijuana, that still exists as well. So yeah, you can still get your medical card if you want that, because that might come with different rules. So if you want the medical thing, you can still do the medical thing. You can also, of course, get a combination license for those people who are looking to manufacture. So do you want to manufacture for medical? You can do that. Do you want to manufacture for the non-medical? You can do that. Do you want to manufacture for both? Hey, we got you covered. We got a license for that. We got a license for you. We got a license for you. We got a license for you. Everyone gets a license. All comers are welcome. As to hemp, the state has authorized the sale of hemp-derived edibles and drinks, so long as there isn't more than 5 milligrams per serving and 50 milligrams per package of THC. So yes, we still have hemp. That's subject to different rules too. We got a license for that. There are also temporary regulations under the bill, so existing businesses can continue operating. So some businesses are also operating under the current set of rules, and we're changing the rules. Hey, wait a second. What about all these businesses that currently exist? They have to be relicensed. Aha, we got you covered. We got you covered. There will be a transition period for you. So you can continue operating your business under your current license while we figure all this out. The Department of Health is also tasked with oversight, and then a new cannabis office will oversee the hemp products as well. Thus, that brings us to the end of the story of the great state of Minnesota, where marijuana has become now from illegal to very legal. And the people who used to be criminals are now preferred business customers. That's nice, right? You used to be a criminal. Now we think that, because you obviously have proven your ability to traffic in this substance, despite our law, how about you are now preferred? From criminal to hero man over here in the state of Minnesota. And we're allowing the marijuana, but no more than 2 pounds. Okay, we have some restraint over here. So no more than that, and no more than 2 ounces. And yeah, you can smoke it in public if the business allows it, but not from balconies, because that might be a harassment to your neighbor. And also your employer can't fire you for the marijuana use on your own time. And also we have a license for every possible situation. Would you like to do the medical marijuana? Would you like to do the non-medical marijuana? Would you like to do small amounts of marijuana? Would you like to do large amounts of marijuana? Would you like to do the hemp? Would you like to do all the things? We've got a license for you, my friend. It is a very welcoming state now on the cover of Minnesota when it comes to the marijuana. And that, for the moment, brings us to the end of discussion of this state.